Hey, hey, how's it going, Tony?
Hey, good. I'm excited for Monday. It's been a great day.
Absolutely, and I am back, so that's even better.
Yes. And then on your own next week.
Yeah, on my own next week. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, I'll be back in Washington on Sunday, so I'll be ready for Monday.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Right on. Well, I thought tonight would be an interesting conversation about the entire, everybody's angry, apparently. So they say about the Epstein files, right? And like, what are we going to do with all that anger? You know, there's I don't know how you've been looking at these, but for me it's just been confirmation of everything I already knew, which is in itself depressing.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've been angry for so many years that, and I do certain things to, in my own way to push back, that I don't really know what people are doing right now with their anger and how are they dealing with it. And where are they
Yeah,
putting it?
so there's a couple of groups of people that I'm seeing. There's a group of people that are just they are so disgusted that they are starting to take action and push back, even if it's just posting on social media, right? Posting about politics on social media, because a lot of times, people have just kept quiet about things, but there's so much going on that you can't really keep quiet if you're paying attention.
Right.
Then you've got the people that are, Republican and Democrat, like fanboys and girls, and they understand that their heroes are in the Epstein files, and they're like wanting to sweep it under the rug. They're the ones telling Congressman Thomas Massey and Congressman Ro Khanna that they need to move on. That they're trying to get these guys out of office, getting them out at this election period. Running people against them. Right? They want it shoved under the rug, and it's disgusting because the people that are in the Epstein files, the ones that have perpetrated these disgusting crimes on children, and they are children. I hate when the media says young women,
Oh,
because
that
they're not
makes me
young women. They
so
are
angry.
they
Yeah.
are children. They are under the age of 18. They are being taken advantage of by these powerful men and women, and they need to be held accountable. So there's that group, the ones that want to hold them accountable, and there's a group that want to, throw it all under the rug. And then there's just the apathetic, where they're just like, well, nothing I can do, so I'm gonna shove my head back in the sand and just, there was a meme that I saw, you know, a video of this lady that just pitches products on TikTok, right? How can you be that person? You got everything going on around you, and all you're doing is posting products to sell, right? And there's no substance to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's crazy to me. And, I'm not sure if people really understand what it means for us. You know what I mean? Like what it means that this entire group of people is controlling everything and they make the decisions. It's funny to me because when you think of it, like like how much control do we actually have? Everybody, has their 401k and they think, oh, I have this 401k, I'm involved in the stock market. But like, really, like it makes us feel like, you're financially savvy and you're part of the system and you're in the game and, you participate and it makes you special. Right. But who's actually taking part in the markets? Like they're so manipulated. Like it's not like you're ever gonna actually win. Like just because your 401k is going up doesn't mean that you're winning. Like they're winning.
well,
The
when you look,
hedge funds and all this crap, they're the ones that are steering the ship.
yeah, well, if you look at where the 401ks are invested, I know people who work for the government, and their 401ks are invested in pharmaceutical companies. They're invested in defense contractors, right? So sickness makes them more money.
Right.
War makes them more money. Basically, destruction makes them more money. So
Right.
they kind of just keep their mouth shut about this stuff going on, because if they push back against these, you know, outrageous things like bombing people in the Middle East living in tents, like they're going to lose money. So they just keep their mouth shut, and they because they want their retirement.
Right. Well, and you bring up another point too. It has so much to do with how uncomfortable are you willing to be,
Yep.
right? How uncomfortable are you willing to be? Are you willing to just sacrifice everything that you believe in for your comfort? I'm not. I mean, like we've prepared for the last 20 years to have nothing. You know what I mean? Like we can live with nothing. I
Mhm.
There is nothing that somebody can do to me that goes against what I believe in, that they're not going to ever make me do it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not me. Like we have prepared for the destruction of this country as much as we possibly can. And it's something, they don't want to, when people are financially strapped, it's funny because you see them talking on Facebook and like, I don't know what to do. It's like, shut off your subscriptions. Like, shut off your cable. I mean, there was a point in our lives where we shared one phone. We had
Mhm.
no internet. I have a hard drive full of movies that we,
Yeah.
got off the internet before the internet was shut off one year, as like we're okay with that. But,
Yeah.
people aren't willing to suffer to, elevate. And I don't know what it's going to take for people to get pissed off enough about what's happening to actually do something.
Yeah. Well, normally it's when someone in their immediate vicinity or themselves gets hurt
Right.
by government overreach. But a lot of times, a lot of people are just working for retirement. They're working for their pension and their 401k, and that's it. Like that's
Right.
all they care about. They're going to get theirs and screw anyone else that gets hurt in the process. And maybe they don't even, they try not to even pay attention to that,
Yeah.
right? That the
Yeah.
companies that their 401k and the hedge funds are invested in are destroying people's lives. You know, you have 401ks invested in private prisons that have quotas. 401ks invested in these tech companies that are creating data centers that are destroying communities,
Right.
right? It's
Yeah.
like, insane the amount of politicians that made a lot of money off of Moderna and the whole COVID vaccine situation is
Yeah.
disgusting. And
Yeah.
they made their money and they got out, and they're
Yep.
continuing to do it with other things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's insane. And the one that always cracks me up is like, if everybody talks about a revolution and a civil war, and it's like, who are you going to fight? Your neighbor?
yeah,
The
no.
guy at the grocery store? The mom down the street at your kid's school? I mean, like, who are you going to fight? Like, it isn't about you and me and anybody else. Like, it's about them. And something needs to happen, and something needs to, put them in their place. It's not us that's the problem. We're the problem because we're not willing to sacrifice whatever we need to do to make this happen. I see people online talking about don't spend money, don't do this, and like don't give into the system. That's also not realistic,
Mhm.
right? So, for me, I believe that we the people is the answer, right? Because our whole thing is tear it down, and let's rebuild something better. Let's start from the bottom and make it and build it from the bottom up so that it actually works for the people.
Yeah.
No more of this somebody up here telling you what to think. That makes no sense to me. why
Yeah.
why do we want to live our lives being told what we're supposed to do and what to think?
Well, we see it at all levels of government. You look at the Washington state government, record spending, record taxes, and who got raises? Everyone that works for the government got raises. And it's not just at the state level, but at the county level. You see in Pacific County, all of the county commissioners got raises, all of the executives got raises, all of the employees are constantly getting raises, and they're voting themselves more money, and they're patting themselves on the back, acting
Mhm.
as if they're doing good. and
Yeah.
it's just insane. You look at the PUD, the Public Utility District. It's like all of those people, the commissioners got raises, the executives got raises, six-figure salaries, and guess who got a pay cut? The people living in Pacific County. But the ones that are in office at the PUD and work for the PUD, guess what? They all got pay raises, and it doesn't matter if their electricity bill went up a little bit because they're getting paid more. But for
Right.
the grandma and the grandpa that are living on a fixed income and they don't get any extra money, they're losing money. The whole
Yeah.
tariff thing with inflation, and it's just eventually what's going to happen is people are going to get pissed off enough that you're going to see more of the situation that happened in Colorado with the guy that built an armored bulldozer, and he just
Right.
he
He forgot
tore
about that
through.
guy.
Yeah, he tore through the city buildings with that thing,
Yeah.
right? Because they infringed on his rights. They shut down his muffler shop, you know, and shut down the road and closed the road to it. And it's just like, because
Yeah.
he wouldn't sell, you
Right.
know?
Right. Right. And they're doing that up in Olympia right now basically. Everything that the people want, they're bypassing. They're,
Hmm.
the parents' choice initiative. They're not hearing the public on it. They're supposed to. They're not. They're just going to push it straight through to the ballot. It's going to pass on the ballot. But then what they're doing is they're making laws that is going to basically make it null and void, because you're
Yep.
not going to be able to enforce the initiative based on the laws that now they're passing because of the initiative. Like
Yep.
that, like, you're not listening. Clearly the people want this and
Yep.
it's needed. I know of a situation right now where students have gone to go report a student who they feel so about a year ago there was a kid at the school who committed suicide. Nobody knew that he was even close to that, right? And so the kids have all learned signs and learned to
Yeah.
understand what that means. So they have another person who is who they feel is at risk. So they went to the at-risk person at the school, and they're not doing anything. But then I was actually going to call the school to ask, because I never like to assume that I know how they do things. So I usually call and ask, but it got me to thinking, like, what is their policy with all of this bullshit? What is
Yeah.
their policy? They get notified that the student could have an issue. Are they calling the parent to let the parent know, like, there's concern? Can they do that with this initiative? Like, that's terrifying, especially because there was a kid that just killed himself a year ago who
Yeah.
that kid was in like ROTC and drama and all kinds of stuff, super active, and then just bam, and no one knew. And if we
Yeah.
sit and watch that again, and it's going to be because of this kind of crap that they're doing to protect us
Well,
from our children, like, it's insane.
yeah. Well, it's weird because they feel that the community owns the kids, and not just the community, but the government owns the kids. And it's really strange. And they feel that the government owns its citizens too. We're
Yeah,
supposed to be governed by consent, government by consent of the constituents, consent of the people, and that's not what they're doing at all. You had the most pushback on any bill in history on the millionaire tax that's
yeah,
coming down the pipe. There was more pushback on that because those of us who have learned from history understand that even though the Democrats in power say that this is just a tax on someone making $1 million a year, wait until that changes next year and they strike out $1 million a year in revenue and put $1 million in assets. Once they do that, anyone that owns a home or owns property that totals over $1 million, now they're getting taxed,
well,
right?
and what do
And
you think that's going to do then at the assessor office level, right? How are they going to start assessing homes?
they're going to keep pushing them up,
Yep.
and which they already do. They
It's
keep
a
pushing it up to increase property taxes.
Yeah, it's people don't understand the snowball effect, and I don't know. I don't know why we see it and people don't. I don't know if it's just
Yep.
because people haven't ever been told like that this is how, or they don't pay attention, because God knows we don't all see the same information,
Hmm.
right? It
Yep.
depends on what you're looking at. I don't see the same things you see. Glenn and I don't see the same things.
Yeah.
We're in the same house, talk about the same things, and we do not see the same things on Facebook or
Yeah.
anywhere.
So I have a friend in Alaska, and he just posted last week that they raised his property value by $97,000 in one
Oh,
chunk.
wow.
Yeah, increased his property value by $97,000, and now he's going to be taxed a whole lot more. He's retired, and it's like, well, looks like I'm going to be selling. Because how can you survive if you're on a fixed income with that type
Wow.
of increase?
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's disgusting. It is,
Yeah.
because the counties, the people who work for the government, they need more money because they're constantly giving themselves raises. They're constantly spending more money, paying off their friends and family that own, construction companies or whatever, right? Like I know in Pacific County, they made a new rule or ordinance a few years back saying that if you own a commercial property, you have to get the septic inspection every year. So now the companies that do septic inspections,
Yeah.
they get an extra $500 because that's what it was when I had to do it. Like every single year from all these commercial buildings, anyone that owns commercial property and you have a septic system, it has to be, inspected every single year now,
Yeah.
even though, the inspection takes 5 minutes. They turn the pump on, they open it up, look at the inside. Okay, it's working, good to go. But it's
Right.
like, but if the septic isn't working, almost immediately that the septic is not working, right? Because it
Yeah.
starts
Yeah.
backing up
How can
and
you
the
not?
alarm is going off.
Yeah. Yeah.
This, anyways, it is just a nightmare what's happening, and it's all these people that are grifting off the productive class of society, basically, that are in these political positions that are, and it's not just salaries, like they're giving themselves platinum health care, right, where everyone else gets, bottom of the barrel health care. They have these health insurance plans, and then they get paid per diem, so the time that they're actually in meetings, that gets added. They get all their travel covered. They have an expense account with a credit card attached to it. Like, oh, did you go have a meeting at a restaurant? Well, that's covered. We'll take care of that. So it's
Right.
just insane. These people are just living their entire lives getting it covered by someone else. And they
Yeah.
don't do a whole lot of work, or they're pushing paperwork, or they're sitting in meetings that don't accomplish anything except for how are they going to spend more taxpayer dollars? How are they going to tax more? So
Yeah.
don't
We
get me
got it.
started on this.
I know. I don't know. It's what people need to hear it because people need to actually get mad enough to want to do something. That's what
Sure.
I don't understand is this sitting back and doing nothing. I go so far. I'm ridiculous. If there is something that I can say no to that you want me to say yes to, I'm saying no. So,
Yeah.
you go to Walmart and they want to check your receipt as you go out the door. You're not checking this receipt. You're not getting it. I'm not giving it to you. I went to the store with my best friend and I was telling her, I was like, I shoved the receipt in the bag, like real deep in the bag. I said, I am not giving them my receipt when we walk out. I refuse. And of course, they know my face. They don't even ask anymore.
Yeah.
But she went, and she doesn't go very often at all. So she went, the guy literally stopped her at the door, wanted to scan her receipt, took an item out of her bag, scanned the thing and to make sure it was on the receipt and all this crap. And she had originally said no. And he said, if you don't let me check your receipt, I'm going to call security.
Cool.
I was like, cool. That's my car. I'll meet you there. Like, you're not
Yeah.
like bite me. I'm like, I don't pay a membership to you. Like, all of this is just so much more control, right? You want me to check out my own groceries And you're going to trust me to do that until I get to the door. And then you're going to accuse me of stealing.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, Costco does it, right? Costco does it, but you scan your membership card, you pay your membership card, you agree to their terms when you go in.
They're also
Right.
making sure that you're getting what you paid for, right? Did you get, you know, every time you get a gift card or something like that, did you get your gift card? Did you get your stamps, right? Did you get your cash back, right? They're also making sure that you got stuff. They're not, and, you know, they're not going through everything to go, what did you steal today? I don't feel accused of stealing there. I feel accused of stealing at Walmart. At least they
Yeah.
offer you boxes at Costco to put your shit in.
You know, it's weird because I've never been stopped at Walmart. And there's someone at the door, just went to Walmart multiple times here, had a full cart full of stuff, and they didn't stop me. But the same thing happened during COVID when people were forced masked, and
Right.
no one ever said anything to me. No one said anything about putting a mask on. It's like they wouldn't say anything. But if my significant other went to the store without a mask on, they were on her, like, quick.
Right.
You need to
Right.
put a mask on. Like, for some reason, it's like they look at me and they're like, I don't want to fucking deal with that guy.
You,
He looks like he looks like a terrorist.
right.
Yeah. But so they don't, but they'll go after people like that, right?
Yeah. Well, the same thing happens differently with Glenn and I, but Glenn, he gets accused of being homeless all the time, right? He
I can
works
see that.
hard, right?
Yeah.
And so he'll go into Starbucks and they'll refuse to give him the code to the bathroom. Or if we're somewhere, he went to go get a sandwich. I'll never forget this one. He went to get a sandwich at Safeway one day. And, when you get their hot deli sandwiches, you can't use EBT. They literally were like, you can't use EBT. And he was like, okay. Like, oh my God. Like, it's just people are insane. So when I walk out, maybe that's why maybe I just have resting bitch face. And so, like, I don't get out,
Yeah.
because of course, Glenn and I had to go to that Walmart, right?
Yeah.
And had to go shopping. So, and the guy who she went through, I watched him checking everybody else's receipts. He would stop them all. Or I'm not sure if he was stopping them or if they were stopping and offering, is what you see a lot too, right? Like, I'm triggered. I mean, not triggered, like I'm conditioned. Oh, here's my receipt. I'm going to prove to you I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And they're just offering it up to people instead of them even having to stop them anymore. Right.
Yeah, that could be the case too. People are just getting used to it, and they're just letting them, infringe on, their rights.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, forget that. I'm like, give me an opportunity to say no.
but it's so weird because, with Starbucks, for example, like, most of the people that probably work there are probably anti-racist and anti-fascist, and, and they are enlightened more than anyone else, but they won't let Glenn use the bathroom because they think he's homeless. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? I'm going to
Yeah.
tell him to say something like that next time. Be like, oh, is it because I'm white?
Yeah. Are you a classist?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we were getting signatures for the Kennedy campaign, he killed it. He gets lippy with people sometimes, right? So I get a little nervous setting him loose. And but when he was out there, he would go up to people who you could clearly tell were a little liberal, right? And he would walk up to them and he'd be like, "You believe in inclusivity, right? Like, you want everybody to be included?" And they'd go, "Yeah, great. Then why don't you go ahead and sign this petition to get Kennedy on the ballot?" And they're like, "I'm not signing that." And he's like, "Oh, so you're not inclusive. Okay, thank you." And they'd be like, "Okay." And then they'd sign it. So, it's like when you point those things out to people, it's funny to see their reactions.
Sure, because everyone thinks that they're better than everyone else and they've got it all figured out and they're inclusive and anti-racist and anti-classist and anti-sexist and all these things. And then
Yeah.
when you hold up a mirror and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, so you're inclusive?" Well, okay, sign to get Kennedy on the ballot, and they're just like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. Yeah. That was so, I loved it. Like we used that everywhere after that because it would just, and he was so good at it, So it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah.
So anyway, the whole point of this today was just to kind of, people are not mad enough, but we have a solution and we are getting very recognized. And I think that they're scared of us already. And I think that's pretty amazing. And we've got some big stuff coming. Christina right now in New York is actually talking to 4 or 5 different people for assembly person there,
Oh,
which is
awesome.
their assembly is equivalent to our house of the
Yep.
representatives. Right. So yeah. And Renee Mitchell is running for assembly person there, and she's
Hmm.
killing it. She's doing such a good job. The community loves her.
Yep.
So, I think she's really going to do well there. And it's going to be so exciting to see a We the People member in office.
Yep. Yeah. Speaking of We the People members in office, I was on a Sunday night live stream last night with um, the We the People Party Pennsylvania, and they now have 2 elected members of the We the People Party, school board and I believe city council. So
That's awesome.
yeah, that was exciting. And the guy that got elected to school board, he was actually ran for state auditor, and he found out that the state auditor doesn't actually audit any state government at all. That's not their role.
It's
The
literally
state
not their job.
Not their job.
Ooh, that's
It's
interesting,
to
isn't it?
audit private citizens and private companies. Like so the state auditor there is not in charge of auditing the government at all. So is there any actual auditing going on? Probably not. Yeah, that's
That's
big.
a crazy one.
Yes, it is. So he's planning on running again in a couple of years. He ran in 2024. It's up for election in 2028, and he's going to run for it again. So, and just keep getting it out there and keep making a difference. But the thing is, he lost in 2024, ran for local, lost the big race, like the statewide race, right,
Right.
for auditor, and then ran for his local school board and won. And now when he
Right.
runs again for the large position, he's already an official, right?
Right. Right. I
So it's
guess
going to be,
that's something else that people need to understand too. It's like, I don't know that, I keep going back and forth about throwing my hat in the ring and, putting my name on the ballot for, Senate. I'm not going to have that much power in the Senate, but to say that we have a We the People person there, see how things work and all of that, but just to have our name on the ballot, right,
yep,
and get the recognition is going to be a step forward in the right direction. If I were to get elected, you know what that does? Whether I can get anything done there or not, crossing party lines and working with everybody and hoping that that works, it shows that it can happen,
but
right?
when you do get elected and you start polling your constituents on how, hey, these are the votes that I have to take tomorrow. How should I vote? And you have the polls up on your website, and
Right.
and they sign up as your constituent. You will have to
Right.
figure out the address check or verification or something like that. So they are your
Right.
constituents, and you're
Right.
not being
So
like,
I'm voting for what the people want. I'm not voting for because I think this is best for you.
yeah,
Right? Because I mean, I'm assuming that's where their heads are, right? In the most part, like they think that they're doing this great service for you, a service that you have zero interest in, that costs you a ton of money that you wouldn't pay for otherwise. And they're doing this great service for you. And what
yeah.
services do we really want? And why can't I have my own money to pay for those things that I don't need you to do for me? So,
Yep. Yeah. So the the
Interesting.
the, the moral of the story, which Reese, I don't remember his last name, in Pennsylvania, is that he just ran again. Right. He lost a big race. He ran again for a local race. He's going to run again for a bigger race, and he's just going to keep going. So it's
Yeah.
exciting to see that.
Yeah, that's going to be that's yeah. So great things happening, great things. So um if anybody's interested in donating, we could definitely use the support, and that is, I'm gonna put that in the comments, WTPWA.com. So it's we
Yep.
the people Washington, all abbreviated.com. And yeah, if you're interested in running for office, please reach out. There's a form on the website as well for that. um if you have any comments, anything of interest, any initiatives that you're seeing that you think that we need to cover, let us know what's important to you, because that's literally the reason why we're doing this, is so that we can get people involved and deal with what's important for our communities and make some real change. So
Yep. Absolutely.
right
All right,
on.
Tony. Hey,
All
thanks so
right.